It's an arty week in Nigeria. Not only is the Contemporary Fair Art X taking place in Lagos this weekend, next week we'll see the first exhibition open to the public at the highly anticipated Museum of West African Art in Benin City, Edo State. The multi-million euro development, supported by the French and German governments, as well as the Getty Foundation and the British Museum, was meant to rehouse the famous Benin Bronzes stolen by British soldiers in 1897. But amid much controversy, that won't be happening. We can now welcome art historian and entrepreneur Marie-Cécile Zinsou, who's been promoting African contemporary art for years. Thanks for being on the programme.
Thank you for having me.
So you hail from neighbouring Benin. How big would you say for the art world is the opening of this museum in Nigeria?
Oh, for us, it's a very big symbol. It's one of the most modern museums in the world. So for us, it's a very, very important moment. The infrastructure is amazing. The project with Yinka Shonibare, with what had been presented as the Venice Biennale, as the Nigerian Pavilion, will be an amazing exhibition. So we are waiting for that moment. We need more museum, more initiatives, cultural initiatives open to the public. So we are very excited to see the new museum next week.
Now, of course, this comes amid growing interest in contemporary African art, which has exploded over the last few years. In fact, our own profile of you on the France 24 website suggests that this is thanks in part to you. But what, in your words, explains it?
I think 20 years ago, 200 years ago, there was a very vibrant scene and there were important sponsors for the arts. The kings used to have artists around them and finance the creation, their works. So we used to be kingdoms with very important art tradition. 20 years ago, the artists were in a difficult situation because the governments were not helping and the collectors didn't really exist yet. Today, everything has changed. The scene is very vibrant in Western Africa, but also in the rest of the continent. And new events are happening, new museums are opening, private person open museum foundations. The artists are very implicated. The important artists like Yinka Shonibare, like Ibrahim Mahama, Amoako Boafo, all the most important stars of the art market are creating spaces, residents are helping other artists, are welcoming the public. So yeah, everything has changed in 20 years and everyone is putting a lot of efforts. And so this week, the opening of the Art Week in Lagos is a very good example of what's happening on the continent.
Now, talking about kingdoms, the local kingdom around Benin City has made no mistake about it. They do not want this museum. Eware II called it offensive. His family is trying to get it shut down, saying that it used promises of securing the Benin Bronzes as a pretext for donations. Could this be true?
I think every time there is a museum opening, every time there is something new happening, you have people pros and you have people cons. So it's very normal that there are polemics, that, you know, it's a very new infrastructures on the scene that has always existed, but it's been a long time that no museum had opened. So let's not stay too long on the polemics. Every country has them. We have them in Benin, they have them in Nigeria. Let's concentrate on what's happening in a constructive way. And this museum will exist. Maybe it will host the bronze one day, maybe not, but they are doing very interesting exhibitions and interesting programs. They're going to make exchange with other platforms and museums. So this will be a very important tool for the communities around the museum, for the schools, for the children, which is absolutely essential today. So I would not focus on the small polemics that can happen at the beginning of every initiative, but celebrate the fact that more and more initiatives are happening.
But you can't deny that the Benin Bronzes are an incredibly important piece of African art. And you, who has a perspective into this world more so than we do here on France 24, do you think personally this was maybe a bit of an overpromise, either from the museum itself or maybe from some of the Western backers?
It's possible that the restitution policies are very different depending on the countries. So if I can compare to Benin, for example, Benin has received 26 objects from the French government. It was the first example of restitution for a long time. It's the French state who gave them to the Benin state, and the Benin state decided to put them in a museum for everyone. In Nigeria, it's a very different thing. Germany, England have given back some Benin bronzes. And then the Benin bronzes, the government has decided to give them sometimes back to the OBA, but it's a federal state. It's not like in Benin. So the former owners of the bronze got them back. So it's very special because you're not thinking about a national problem. Now it's a problem maybe between persons, and there is a lot of money in the museum, so there is a lot of money at stake. So that's why I don't want to enter those kind of polemics, because it's there are too many parameters that we are not well aware of.
Complicated situation, but perhaps we could just zoom out a little bit, and you might be able to explain to us what exactly the Benin Bronzes are and why they are so crucial.
The Benin Bronzes is a bit like it's almost as important as the Greek marbles, and they are the second most reclaimed looted art. The Benin Bronzes is what has been taken in Benin City in 1897 by the British, who decided to take over the Benin Kingdom. And so they decided to repay their expeditions, their colonial expedition, by stealing the bronzes and selling them coming back in Europe, because they were considered as the most important African artworks that had been seen in Europe. So the Benin bronzes have been brought back by thousands and have been sold to every countries around. So a lot of European countries, America has them too, have bought the bronzes to be able to repay the British for the colonial expedition. So today, Nigeria is asking them back, and Germany has been quite leader on the fact that they would give them back, and has started, after France and Emmanuel Macron decided to start thinking about restitution and doing real restitution. Germany has done exactly the same with Nigeria and has decided to send back those treasures. So for the first time, you'll be able to see Benin bronzes in Nigeria instead of seeing them in New York, London, Paris, and Berlin.
And people who've been following the theft at the Louvre might well be wondering whether that argument that museums in Western countries can look after them better is true or not. Thank you very much for joining us here on France 24, Marie-Cécile Zinsou.